What if I told you that choosing the person everyone else rejected could change your entire life? This young girl made a choice that shocked everyone in her village, but what happened next will give you goosebumps. This is Ruth's incredible true story. Meet Ruth, a kind-hearted girl who lost everything when her parents died in a terrible accident. She had to move in with her grandmother in a small village where people treated her very badly. They called her bad luck and said mean things to her every day, but Ruth had no idea that one special day would change her life forever. When the prince came back to choose a wife, something amazing was about to happen that no one saw coming. Let me tell you this beautiful story that will touch your heart. Ruth was the happiest little girl in the big city. She had the most loving mommy and daddy in the whole world. Every morning, her mommy would wake her up with soft kisses on her cheek. "Good morning, my sunshine," Mommy would say with a warm smile. Daddy would carry Ruth on his strong shoulders to the kitchen. The smell of fresh pancakes filled the air. Ruth loved how safe she felt up high on Daddy's shoulders. "I can see everything from here," Ruth would giggle. Their house was small, but cozy. Pink flowers grew in little pots by the windows. Ruth's favorite teddy bear, Mr. Buttons, sat on her bed every day. She told him all her secrets. In the evenings, the family sat together on their soft blue couch. Mommy would read Ruth stories about brave princesses. Daddy would make funny voices for all the characters. Ruth would laugh until her tummy hurt. "Will you always be here with me?" Ruth asked one night. "Always and forever, my sweet girl," Mommy promised, tucking her into bed. One sunny Tuesday morning, Mommy and Daddy got dressed in their nice clothes. "We have to go to the city for work today," Daddy explained. "We'll be back before dinner." "Can I come too?" Ruth asked, hugging Mr. Buttons tight. "Not today, little one. Stay with Mrs. Johnson next door. We'll bring you a surprise," Mommy said, kissing Ruth's forehead. Ruth watched from the window as their red car drove away. She waved until she couldn't see them anymore. But dinner time came, and Mommy and Daddy didn't come home. Mrs. Johnson looked worried. She kept looking at the clock on the wall. Then 2 police officers came to the door. They had very sad faces. Mrs. Johnson started crying. Ruth didn't understand why. "Sweetheart," Mrs. Johnson said through her tears, "your Mommy and Daddy, their car crashed. They went to heaven." Ruth's little heart broke into a million pieces. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't think. "No, they promised to come back," Ruth cried. "They promised!" The next few days felt like a bad dream. Ruth kept waiting for Mommy and Daddy to walk through the door. She set their plates at the dinner table. She left their favorite books on the couch. But they never came home. People in black clothes came to take away her parents' things. Ruth held Mr. Buttons so tight, his button eyes almost popped off. "You have to go live with your grandmother now," a kind lady told Ruth. "She lives far away in a village." "But this is my home," Ruth whispered. "Mommy and Daddy are coming back." The lady's eyes filled with tears. "I'm so sorry, dear. They can't come back." Ruth had to pack all her toys in a small brown box. She could only take a few things. She chose Mr. Buttons, her favorite dress, and a photo of her family. As the car drove away from her house, Ruth pressed her face against the cold window. She watched her home get smaller and smaller until it disappeared. "Goodbye, Mommy. Goodbye, Daddy," she whispered. "I'll never forget you." The little girl who was once full of laughter was now full of sadness. Her world had changed forever in just one terrible day. Ruth felt scared when she first came to the village. Everything looked different from her old home. The houses were small and made of mud. The roads were dusty and bumpy. Her grandmother was very kind. She had gray hair and warm hands. "Come here, my sweet child," she would say every morning. "Let me hug you tight." But the other people in the village were not nice at all. The young women in the village whispered bad things about Ruth. They pointed at her when she walked by. "Look, there goes the bad luck girl," said Maya, the baker's daughter. She had long black hair and always wore pretty dresses. My mother says Ruth killed her own parents, whispered Sarah, who lived near the well. She brings death wherever she goes. Don't talk to her, warned Linda, the chief's daughter. Bad things happen to people who get close to her. Ruth heard every mean word. Her heart felt heavy like a big stone in her chest. Every morning, Ruth helped her grandmother cook breakfast. They made simple porridge with water and a little bit of sugar. Grandmother, why don't the other girls like me? Ruth asked one day. Tears rolled down her small face. Her grandmother wiped the tears with her soft hands. Some people are afraid of what they don't understand, my dear. But you have a good heart. That's what matters most. Ruth tried to make friends anyway. She was brave and hopeful. When Ruth saw the village girls playing by the river, she walked over slowly. Can I play with you? She asked with a small voice. The girls stopped laughing. They looked at her with angry eyes. Go away, shouted Maya. We don't want bad luck. Your parents died because you're cursed, said Sarah. She threw a small stone near Ruth's feet. Ruth's eyes filled with tears. She ran back to her grandmother's house. At the village market, people moved away when Ruth came close. The shop owners frowned at her. Don't touch anything, said the fruit seller when Ruth looked at the oranges. I don't want you to curse my fruit. When Ruth tried to buy bread, the baker's wife counted the money 3 times. I hope this money isn't cursed too, she mumbled. Even the children were mean. They sang a nasty song when Ruth walked by. Ruth, Ruth, bad luck girl. Stay away. Don't come near. Death and sadness follow you. We don't want your curse here, too. But Ruth didn't give up. She learned to hold her head high. She learned to be strong even when her heart was breaking. Her grandmother taught her important things. When people are mean to you, Ruth, you must still be kind, her grandmother said. Good people always win in the end. But it hurts so much, grandmother, Ruth cried. I know, sweet child. But pain makes us stronger. And God sees everything. He will reward your good heart someday. Ruth helped other people even when they were mean to her. When old Mrs. Chen fell down, Ruth helped her get up. When little Tommy lost his toy in the mud, Ruth found it for him. The villagers were surprised. Why is she being nice to us when we're mean to her? They wondered. But they still didn't want to be her friend. Every night, Ruth prayed for the mean people. Please, God, help them see that I'm not bad luck. Help them be kind to me. Her grandmother smiled when she heard Ruth's prayers. You have the most beautiful heart, my child. Never let mean people make you mean, too. Ruth promised she would always stay kind and good, no matter what. She didn't know that soon her kindness would change her life forever. The sun was shining bright when the royal messenger came to the village. He rode a big white horse and wore a red coat with shiny gold buttons. His voice was so loud that everyone could hear him from far away. Listen, listen, he called out. The prince is coming home. He will choose a wife from all the young ladies in our village. Ruth was helping her grandmother feed the chickens when they heard the news. All around them, people started running and shouting with joy. Did you hear that, Ruth? Grandmother asked, with a big smile. The prince is coming! But Ruth felt scared. Her tummy felt funny, like when she was nervous. I don't think I should go, Grandma, she said quietly. The other girls don't like me. Soon, the whole village was busy like a beehive. Mothers ran to the market to buy pretty cloth. Fathers counted their money to buy new shoes for their daughters. Everyone was talking and laughing and planning. Mrs. Rose bought silk that felt as smooth as water. It was purple like the flowers in spring. My daughter will look like a queen, she said proudly. Mrs. Jane got golden ribbons that sparkled in the sunlight. The prince will notice my girl for sure, she laughed. All the young women practiced walking like princesses. They held their heads up high and took tiny steps. Some even practiced curtsying until their legs hurt. "Look at me, Mama," called out Sarah, twirling in her new blue dress. "Do I look beautiful enough for the prince?" "Oh, yes, my sweet girl," her mother replied, clapping her hands. Ruth watched from her small window as all the families prepared. She saw the pretty dresses hanging on clotheslines. She smelled the sweet perfumes floating in the air. She heard the happy laughter of the other girls. But nobody came to talk to Ruth. Nobody asked if she was going to meet the prince. It was like she was invisible. "I have nothing pretty to wear," Ruth told her grandmother sadly. "My dress has holes in it. My shoes are old and broken. The other girls will laugh at me." Ruth's grandmother sat down next to her. She took Ruth's small hands in her wrinkled ones. "My dear child," she said softly, "pretty clothes don't make a person beautiful. A kind heart does." "But Grandma, they all say I bring bad luck. What if something terrible happens to the prince because of me?" The old woman's eyes filled with tears. She hugged Ruth tight. "Listen to me carefully, sweet Ruth. You are not bad luck. You are a gift from God. Your parents would be so proud of you." "I'm scared, Grandma," Ruth whispered. "I know, my love. But sometimes the best things happen when we're scared. Promise me you'll go. Not for the prince, but for yourself. You deserve to have fun like the other girls." Ruth thought about it all day. She watched the sunset paint the sky orange and pink. She listened to the crickets sing their night songs. Finally, she made up her mind. "Okay, Grandma, I'll go, but only because I promised you." Her grandmother smiled, the biggest smile Ruth had ever seen. "That's my brave girl." The sun was bright and warm that Tuesday morning. Ruth was helping Grandma wash clothes by the little stream behind their house. The water was cold on her hands. She could hear birds singing in the big mango tree. "Ruth, my dear child," Grandma said softly, "listen. Boom, boom, boom." A loud drum sound came from far away. Ruth looked up. Her heart started beating fast. The drum sound meant important news was coming to the village. "What's happening, Grandma?" Ruth asked. Her voice was small and worried. "Let's go see," Grandma said. She dried her wet hands on her old blue dress. They walked to the village square. Ruth held Grandma's hand tight. The square was the big open space in the middle of all the houses. It had a tall tree in the center, where people sat when it was hot. Many people were already there. Mothers carried babies. Old men sat on wooden stools. Children ran around playing. Boom, boom, boom. The drum got louder. A tall man in bright red clothes walked into the square. He had the biggest drum Ruth had ever seen. It was as big as a cooking pot. "Hear me! Hear me!" the man shouted. His voice was very loud. "I bring news from the palace." Everyone got quiet. Even the babies stopped crying. Ruth felt butterflies in her stomach. The drummer stood under the big tree. He looked at all the people with serious eyes. "The king's son is coming home," he announced. "Prince David has been away studying in far lands. Now he returns to find a wife." All the young women in the village gasped. Some jumped up and down. Others clapped their hands. Ruth saw Maria, the baker's daughter, dancing in circles. "The prince will choose one maiden to be his bride," the drummer continued. "She will become the new princess of our land." Ruth felt scared and excited at the same time. The other girls were so pretty and smart. They had nice dresses and knew how to sing and dance. "All unmarried women must come to the palace next Friday," the drummer said. "The prince will make his choice then." The girls started talking all at once. "I hope he picks me. I need a new dress. My mother says I'm the prettiest." Ruth looked down at her old brown dress. It had patches on the sleeves. Her shoes had holes too. She felt very small. "What about you, Ruth?" asked Sarah, the shopkeeper's daughter. But Sarah wasn't being kind. She was smiling in a mean way. "Why would the prince want bad luck, Ruth?" laughed another girl named Grace. She probably scared the prince away already, said Maria. All the girls giggled. Ruth's face got hot and red. Tears started coming to her eyes. She wanted to run away and hide. But Grandma squeezed her hand. Don't listen to them, Grandma whispered. You are beautiful inside and out. Ruth wasn't sure. She had never felt beautiful. The other girls always had pretty ribbons in their hair. They smelled like flowers. Ruth just smelled like soap and hard work. The drummer packed up his big drum and left. People started going back to their houses. But the girls stayed in groups, planning and dreaming. I'll wear my yellow dress with the white flowers, said Sarah. My mother is making me a new blue one, said Grace. The prince will love my singing voice, said Maria. Ruth and Grandma walked home quietly. The dirt road felt long under Ruth's tired feet. Grandma, Ruth said, I don't think I should go. Why not, child? Look at me. I'm not pretty like the other girls. I don't have fancy dresses. What if the prince thinks I'm ugly? Grandma stopped walking. She knelt down and looked into Ruth's eyes. Her old hands were soft on Ruth's cheeks. Ruth, my precious girl, Grandma said, true beauty comes from a kind heart. You have the kindest heart in this whole village. Ruth wiped her nose with her sleeve. But what if? No, what ifs, Grandma said firmly. Sometimes the most wonderful surprises come when we are brave enough to try. That night, Ruth lay on her small bed. She could hear Grandma humming a soft song in the kitchen. Through her tiny window, she saw stars twinkling like diamonds. Dear God, Ruth whispered, if you want me to go to the palace, please help me be brave. She closed her eyes. In her dreams, she saw a kind face smiling at her, but she couldn't see who it was. The big palace doors opened wide. Everyone held their breath. He's here! The prince is here! Someone shouted. 20 men walked into the beautiful throne room. They all wore shiny clothes that sparkled in the light. Their shoes were so clean, they looked like mirrors. Some had golden buttons on their jackets. Others wore fancy hats with feathers. The girls started whispering very fast. Oh my! Look how handsome they are! That tall one with the blue jacket must be the prince. No, it's the one with the golden hair. Ruth stood in her corner, feeling very small. Her simple dress looked old next to all the fancy clothes around her. Then she saw him. One man sat in a wheelchair. He had kind eyes and a gentle smile. While all the other men stood tall and proud, he sat quietly. His clothes were nice, but not as flashy as the others. Something magical happened when Ruth looked at him. Her heart felt warm, like drinking hot soup on a cold day. It was like seeing sunshine after many days of rain. The man in the wheelchair looked back at Ruth. His eyes lit up like stars. He smiled at her, and Ruth felt safe for the first time in years. Ladies, the king called out loudly, the prince is among these 20 men. You must choose who you think is the prince. The girl who picks the right man will be our new queen. All the girls got very excited. They pushed and ran toward the tallest, strongest-looking men. I choose him, said one girl, grabbing a man's arm. No, this one is the prince, said another. Soon only Ruth and 4 men were left. The man in the wheelchair was one of them. Ruth, you must choose now, the king said kindly. Ruth walked slowly across the room. Her heart was beating very fast. The other girls watched her with mean looks. She stopped in front of the wheelchair. The man looked up at her with the warmest smile she had ever seen. Ruth bent down and gave him a gentle hug. I choose you, she whispered softly. The room became very quiet. Then the other girls started laughing loudly. Ha! She picked the crippled man. What a stupid choice. That's why bad things happen to her. She makes terrible decisions. She could have picked any handsome man, but she chose him. Ruth felt her cheeks turn red. She wanted to run away. But when she looked into the wheelchair man's eyes, she saw something beautiful. She saw love. Don't listen to them, he said quietly. You have the kindest heart I've ever seen. Ruth stood up straight. She wasn't sorry for her choice. Something in her heart told her she had chosen right. The other girls kept laughing and pointing, but Ruth held the wheelchair man's hand. She felt brave and strong. Soon, everyone would see that love sees what the eyes cannot see. The big room became very quiet. Everyone stopped talking. The king stood up from his golden chair. He had a big smile on his face. Now I will tell you who the real prince is, the king said in a loud voice. All the girls held their breath. They were so excited. The pretty girls who picked the tall, handsome men felt very proud. They thought they were so smart. My dear son, the king called out, please come here with your new wife. Everyone looked around. Which handsome man would walk forward? But then something amazing happened. The man in the wheelchair started moving toward the king. Ruth's heart beat very fast. She felt scared and confused. Wait, why is the man in the wheelchair going there? Whispered one girl. Maybe he's just helping, said another girl. But then the most incredible thing happened. The man in the wheelchair put his hands on the chair arms. Slowly, very slowly, he pushed himself up. He stood up. He was standing on his own 2 legs. What? Screamed all the girls at once. Ruth's mouth opened wide. She couldn't believe her eyes. Her hands shook with surprise. The prince, because yes, he was the prince, smiled at everyone. He walked perfectly fine. His legs were strong and healthy. I can walk just fine, the prince said with a gentle voice. I was pretending to test your hearts. All the pretty girls who laughed at Ruth felt their faces turn red. They felt so ashamed and embarrassed. But, we thought, stammered one girl. The prince walked over to Ruth. She was still in shock. Tears of joy ran down her cheeks. You chose me when everyone else turned away, the prince said softly. You saw my heart, not my wheelchair. He took Ruth's small hand in his big, warm hand. Will you be my princess? Ruth nodded. She couldn't speak because she was crying happy tears. The king clapped his hands loudly. People of our village, meet your new princess, Ruth. The girls who were mean to Ruth felt terrible. They realized they made a big mistake. We're so sorry, Ruth, said one girl quietly. We were wrong to be mean to you, said another. Ruth looked at them with kind eyes. Even though they hurt her, she forgave them. It's okay, Ruth said gently. I understand now. The very next day, Ruth moved into the beautiful palace. Her grandma came too. They got a lovely room with soft beds and warm blankets. Ruth wore pretty dresses every day. Everyone in the village had to bow when they saw her. But Ruth was always kind to everyone, even the people who were mean to her before. The prince loved Ruth more and more each day. He loved her kind heart. He loved how she helped others. He loved how she never gave up. Ruth's grandma was so happy. She smiled all day long. You see, my dear Ruth, Grandma said one evening, when you choose love over looks, good things happen. Ruth and the prince got married in the most beautiful wedding ever. The whole village celebrated. From that day on, Ruth was never lonely again. She had everything she ever dreamed of: love, family, and a happy home.